Folks, welcome to Movie News Monday, where every single Monday, live on Twitch, we cover the world of entertainment and all the news that are going down. So make sure you go hang out with us live so that you can be a part of the conversation. But if you can't, don't worry about it. Hit the subscribe button. Join us here on YouTube when they go up the next day. We're going to cover the MCU, the DCU, all the U's. You know what it is. Without any delay, unfortunately, the first bit of news we have to talk about today is some sad news. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but famous film poster artist Drew Struzan has unfortunately passed away. If you don't know Drew, yes, you do. He is single-handedly responsible for what is the most iconic style of poster. And frankly, where we are today in the world of movie posters, we have strayed so far from the light of his. But let's not focus on that. Instead, let's focus on the legacy of an incredible person who has contributed to so much of film history and to so many posters and so many arts on so many film lovers' homes. Drew Struzan, we did recently find out earlier this year that he had been struggling with Alzheimer's, and he did unfortunately just pass. So a lot of incredible filmmakers had the pleasure of working with him. A lot of filmmakers in general sent out words to pay tribute. Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Guillermo del Toro, so many other people. Folks, this is just, again, a moment to appreciate, one of the things that we talk about a lot in this stream and in this broadcast is the fact that there's just so much that goes into making a film. There is an entire industry built around it. And yes, there's executives and business people and so many of those different types of category of workers who we talk about and sometimes grumble at. But at the end of the day, there is true artists and true lovers of their crafts who participate in the art of filmmaking. And that is all the way from obviously the writers, the directors, the actors, the people who were so used to getting a lot of that screen time. But it is also all the way down to the matte painters and the prop makers. And even in this case, the poster artists who create the artwork that you so ingrainedly tie into a certain period of filmmaking or even a movie in particular. So shouts out to Drew, rest in peace. I hope his family is doing well with this difficult time, and know that he has contributed to so much of our culture and so much of the world of filmmaking. So little bit of a sad one to start the day with, but very important to give a moment of recognition here to Drew. So interesting story here, a little bit of a pivot here. Netflix is working on a Kennedy family drama, which is set to be the United States version of The Crown. I have a lot of conflicting feelings about this, given the current state of the Kennedys. However, this could be a banger TV series. So Netflix has commissioned an 8-episode first season for Kennedy, with Michael Fassbender set to star playing Joseph Kennedy Sr., who is, I guess the first step of the Kennedy dynasty. This series is going to be executive produced by Sam Shaw. Sam Shaw is known for some of his works like The Agency, but Netflix is really, again, positioning this to be an American version of The Crown, talking about the dynasty and the legacy and all the inner workings of the family drama and how that ties into the political climate and the cultural climate. Obviously, The Crown, as it went through the years of Queen Elizabeth's life, it kind of got to the point that really started telling the big cultural story of Princess Diana and how that ultimately really shaped the legacy of the royal crown. I think it's fair to say that this series is likely headed towards what happened with President Kennedy and how he came into power and how he ultimately was assassinated as a sitting president. Like, that's not, there's a lot of interpretations of what happened there, but all in all to say, it's probably going to be a very fascinating series should it go for more than one season. It is Netflix, so we may get one season, we may get 2 seasons, who's to say? But here's the official logline for the series. Kennedy reveals the intimate lives, loves, rivalries, and tragedies that shaped the most iconic dynasty in modern history and helped create the world we live in today. Beginning in the 1930s, the first season charts the impossible ascent of Joe and Ross Kennedy and their 9 children, including rebellious second son Jack, who struggles to escape the shadow of his golden boy older brother. So I'm definitely curious to see how this plays out. I like Michael Fassbender. I think he's an incredible actor. And this is tempting. Look, we talked about this last week on Movie News Monday, how Netflix has begun to remove original branding from their work so that the Netflix originals blend into everything else. It's just, I feel like Netflix original just kind of has a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I wish I could say that I wasn't, falling to judging that book by that cover, but it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I like Michael Fassbender. I'm not familiar with Sam Shaw, the showrunner. So if it was the people from The Crown actually attached, I would probably be a little bit more excited, but cautiously you know what? I wouldn't even say cautiously optimistic. I'm like, low-key, I'm kind of cautiously pessimistic on this one. But what do you think? Do you want to watch a Kennedy Dynasty series? Where do you see this series going? Does it end with the Kennedy assassination? Does it go all the way to Bobby Kennedy, the health secretary? Even my impression, it couldn't even. How can you? How can anyone? This is impossible. Is this a little mean? Maybe. At the end of the day, Netflix does have one guaranteed winner here with KPop Demon Hunters, the one Netflix original that is the Netflix original to beat them all. And good news, folks, KPop Demon Hunters is going back to theaters. Yes, even though Sony may have massively dropped the ball and not had faith that this movie would have succeeded in theaters, it did go straight to Netflix, but Netflix has now launched an exclusive partnership with AMC Theaters. So KPop Demon Hunters will be going back to the cinema screens, specifically AMC Theaters, for Halloween weekend. And this may be the beginning of a beautiful friendship as far as Netflix and AMC is concerned. On a statement, AMC Theaters said, Netflix, the world's largest streaming service, and AMC Entertainment, the world's largest theater chain, have jointly decided to work together. Discussions are underway as to what that may entail as far as future opportunities. No further details are being shared at this time. So, could this be the beginning of a beautiful friendship? Possibly. I'm not going to lie to you. This is exciting for me for a couple reasons. One, very selfishly, I am an AMC A-list subscriber, so you're telling me that I don't have to keep mooching off my parents' Netflix subscription to watch Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein and K-pop Demon Hunters and maybe Wake Up Dead Man and Knives Out Mystery. Like, yes, I would much rather see some of these Netflix original movies in the theaters, where I think some of the filmmakers would ideally intend for those films to be seen. That being said, it is the largest streamer with the largest theater chain. Sorry, I punched my microphone, scratching each other's backs. So it's a shame. I feel like there could be a really good opportunity for Netflix to really partner with and benefit smaller independent theaters if they went on a broader scale with their distribution system. I understand that they're a streamer. They're not a distributor. They're not a traditional studio. So I understand. It makes sense to me why they would be looking for an exclusive partnership. That being said, think of your classic mom and pop theater, how much they would benefit from having KPop Demon Hunters playing there for an extended period of time, or even something like Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein or anything of that sort. AMC does have wider access and is in more locations, but there's some small towns, some rural towns that only have a small local cinema screen. So you're not actually giving them access to see the movies in the theater. So this one I could actually say cautiously optimistic for. I do think at the end of the day, getting more movies on the big screen and getting more people to go to the theaters rather than just watching at home, that is overall a good thing. But I'm nervous. This is better than the alternative, which would be Netflix buying up a theater chain. Ultimately, funny enough, Sony Studios, or Sony Pictures, who originally made KPop Demon Hunters and sold it to Netflix, is the only major studio that owns a theater chain. Sony Pictures, if you didn't know, a couple of years back when the Paramount decision was ultimately lifted, they purchased the Alamo Drafthouse theater chain. They haven't really done all that much to it, but it was interesting seeing that Sony invested in a theater chain where Sony is famously the only major studio that does not have a streaming service in the mix compared to NBC Universal, Warner Discovery, Walt Disney. So very, very funny that they decided to go all in on theaters, and then one of their biggest hits of the decade goes right to Netflix. But you know what, folks? Sometimes putting your movie on the big screen is not a guaranteed win. The Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision put out an article breaking down the catastrophe that was Tron Ares. Now, folks, my heart is not ready either. Folks, I will be fully transparent with you. I did not watch Tron Ares. I loved Tron Legacy and was a big fan of the original Tron when I was younger and watched it. But there was very little that got me eager to check out Tron Ares, especially when they really put their cart on the horse that is Jared Leto, who is a conflicting figure in Hollywood right now. But Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision spoke with some insiders in the industry talking about the fact that maybe this movie was doomed from the get-go, and Jared Leto being a part of it wasn't really going to make the difference. The Disney sci-fi tentpole only pulled in $33.2 million on its opening weekend domestically on a budget of $180 million. If you've been here before, you should know that in order to guarantee a profit on a movie, you want to at least double the budget. When you consider marketing and distribution costs, and Tron Ares was everywhere. There was posters everywhere. There was ads everywhere. They were in Fortnite. There was all these other things going on. This likely would have needed to get close to the $400 million mark in order to gain a profit. So combined, its global opening weekend was only $60 million. So this is likely what we will call a bomb. This is not going to be inspiring a lot of confidence. And folks, unfortunately, and I saw your comments in chat, so please take a deep breath, sit down, hold your hand in your heart, maybe do a salute if you'd like, but I think Tron is officially dead, and I don't think it's coming back. Maybe we'll get a streaming series in 15 years or 20 years. Maybe it'll be a comic book series. Maybe they'll make a really cool video game. I don't know, but Tron as we know it is probably done. And you know, it's not to say that it's all the franchise's fault. Folks, we're quick to point out it was interesting that they chose Jared Leto, who is in a controversy where there are 9 allegations of disturbing conduct, from, you know, flirtatious overtures to episodes of exposure. Those allegations are under investigation. So, be it as it may, 9 allegations is a lot of allegations. And as an insider put it, in a world where Michael Fassbender, Ewan McGregor, and Benedict Cumberbatch are having a hard time getting lead roles, why would you even go to a person who can't open a movie and who has question marks around him as a person? Like, actually, this is not a rhetorical question. If anyone has a guess as to why they would do that, especially after the bomb that was Morbius, especially after everything else that has happened with Jared Leto's career, why? And I see someone asking, did they even have the Daft Punk soundtrack? So what I'm hearing is the only positive thing about this movie is that 9 Inch Nails, who did the music this time around, is that we basically got a free 9 Inch Nails album. Which, you know, maybe it's the longest 9 Inch Nails music video. Yes, exactly. Another insider also said, you could have put Ryan Gosling in this movie and it wasn't going to work. No one asked for this reboot. If you say Tron Ares is good, we just need a different actor, you are diluting yourself. And then Hollywood Reporter did also put a little chart here so you could see kind of the breakdown of the audience that they were trying to grab. You know, there's been a lot of reports coming out recently about how Disney is looking to get more young males, specifically like teenage males, in the movie theaters, since they've kind of lost favor with that audience with what's happened with the Marvel movies and superhero genre and things of that nature. I just don't think this was it, man. I just don't think this was it. What really upset me as a fan of Tron Legacy is that there was so much that they were setting up. Does anyone remember the Flynn Lives like short film that came out? There was like a little short film that came out or something that was supposed to be like a tease for what the next Tron movie was going to be, and they just like fully abandoned that. They didn't do anything with it. Flynn Lives, man. Was this guy even in the movie? He wasn't in it. Why did they make this movie? That's actually absurd. Folks, if you know anyone in the industry, or even if you follow like any actors or any any gig workers in the entertainment industry, you have probably heard of the verticals. And if you know what the verticals are, they are those insane dramatic shorts that you see on Instagram or on TikTok, which are short form serialized content filmed for your phone. Now, some might call that a Quibi. But you know, as we all knew, Quibi was ahead of its time. Man, Quibi was there too soon. Oh, man. No, but for real, the verticals game has absolutely exploded. And for a lot of folks, it is the only way to get consistent work. I have spoken with people who work as actors who very reluctantly got into the verticals game, and it turned out to be the most consistent work. I have talked to professional... I want to be careful with how I'm phrasing this because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. I have talked to people who are in charge of helping get people to work in the entertainment industry for the first time, say that the only consistent work they can get people is verticals. So, our good boy Sean Austin here, president of SAG-AFTRA, man, good for him. He's been president for like 2 months and he's already been on Movie News Monday like 4 times. SAG-AFTRA is getting mixed up with verticals, and they are working on union contracts so that these sort of short form content can not just be good, consistent work for folks, but fall within union guidelines and offer more than just a consistent paycheck, but like consistent, long-term consistency and long-term security for actors working in it. So this fast-evolving format is catching on, and we are here to support our performers as they pursue their craft and engage in this new business model. So new contracts are going to be in play so that verticals can work under SAG-AFTRA guidelines, and honestly good, especially considering the fact that we have so much going on with AI content and things like Sora and VO3 and all these other things, and AI actors like Tilly Norwood and all this other stuff that's going on. Anything that can guarantee folks are getting work and guarantee that folks are getting work fairly is a good thing at the end of the day. So props to SAG-AFTRA for being ahead of the game here and pursuing these sorts of partnerships to ensure that union requirements and union eligibility is available for actors in more than just the traditional sense of entertainment. I think ultimately this bodes very well for future negotiations and just, again, making sure that people can work consistently and fairly and safely. So shout out SAG-AFTRA for getting on board with it. Will we see other unions like IATSE or the DGA or the PGA or anything like that getting involved? I don't know. And frankly, I have no idea. I do think it would be interesting to see some more of the Teamsters unions within the entertainment industry getting involved in these games. But it would be, I think we would be lying to ourselves if we didn't admit the fact that there's a lot of elitism and pointing of the nose towards this type of content. But work is work, folks. Work is work. Guys, remember when Jim Carrey said he was going to retire from acting, and then suddenly he started doing the Sonic movies, and out of nowhere Sonic the Hedgehog pulled Jim Carrey out of retirement and he did a whole trilogy, and now Jim Carrey is in talks to lead a live action Jetsons movie with Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow to direct. You know, if you gave me a Mad Lib, I don't know that I could have written this up, but I'm here for it, actually. I'm fully here for it. Rent's got to be paid, exactly. Yeah, this is interesting on a multitude of reasons. So let's walk down the list. Let's start with the Jetsons, because that's the first thing on screen here. Jetsons, famous classic Hanna-Barbera cartoon that depicts life in the future. It's the nuclear family in the nuclear power world, essentially, is kind of the bit here. Jetsons aired around the time that the Flintstones did as well, and so it was kind of a fun time period in which you got to experience the future and the past. And the Jetsons even had a couple animated crossovers. Do people today know who the Jetsons are? I have no idea. I know I do, because Boomerang was a thing back when we had cable packages and Boomerang was included, and occasionally you'd be scrolling and you go, that looks like a cartoon. But is there brand knowledge for the Jetsons for the younger audience of today? Does Gen Z know what the Jetsons are? Probably not. So my guess is the only way that you could do this is if you lean it towards a more adult audience, and in comes Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey, as I mentioned before, had actually planned to retire from acting, retire from the entertainment industry. Obviously, Jim Carrey is a legend in the world of comedy, in slapstick comedy, physical comedy. Jim Carrey's an absolute legend in the comedy world in every shape and form. Very successful career in the 90s and early 2000s, and even towards the 2010s, delved into more dramatic performances, and we really got to see a good, full-rounded world of his talent. Jim Carrey said he was going to step away from acting, and some way, somehow, ended up being cast as Dr. Robotnik in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, where he was really just told that he could be full Jim Carrey, and that's exactly what he did. And not only did he have a great time filming the first movie, he would end up coming back to do the full trilogy, and even in Sonic 3 played two characters. He played Dr. Robotnik and his own grandfather. So, you know, he mentioned the energy and the life that those movies brought into him, and I suppose that it's brought enough love out of him that he is now looking to possibly be attached to lead a Jetsons movie, obviously as head Jetson himself. God, I don't even remember his name. Johnny Jetson? I don't know. Probably something like that. In either case, if we're talking about making a movie that's going to skew towards older millennials and Gen Xers, Jim Carrey is a great person to attach. Jim Carrey is also the right age to be cast as a dad of a household, and I think if you really want to help secure the younger audience, you probably cast a really well-known actor for both the teenage daughter and the young son. George Jetson. Thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. And now Colin Trevorrow. Colin Trevorrow had an explosive career sort of kickoff due to Jurassic World picking up as big as it did. Obviously, Jurassic World was not his first movie, but Colin Trevorrow did direct Jurassic World, which went on to be an absolute surprise box office explosion, grossing well over $1 billion and having some really substantial legs, meaning that movie didn't just do well at like its opening weekend. That movie did well for a while. Trevorrow was then attached to multiple Jurassic World movies, but he did take a little bit of a detour. Along with Jurassic World, he was attached originally to direct Star Wars Episode 9. Following what happened with the reception of The Last Jedi, and following a small movie that Colin Trevorrow did called The Book of Henry, which was not very well received critically and financially, Trevorrow was removed from Episode 9, which is how we ultimately got Rise of Skywalker. There is information out there. You can read a lot about what happened or what would have happened in Colin Trevorrow's version of Star Wars Episode 9, Duel of the Fates. Mr. Sunday Movies on YouTube has a fantastic video with some original animations that kind of walks through what that movie would have been. All of that to say, aside from being an executive producer attached to the Jurassic World franchise, Colin Trevorrow hasn't really been back in a large franchise spotlight ever since that Star Wars debacle. So, the Jetsons might be a promising IP that has enough nostalgic value and enough separation for room for interpretation, similar to how Jurassic World, the first one, came out long after Jurassic Park 3, where folks remembered Jurassic Park and remembered the way that they felt about it and the expectation, but were open to new ideas. So all of this to say, this kind of seems like a perfect match. Initially reading this headline, I was very confused, but kind of walking through it step by step, it kind of makes sense. So all that to say, I'm actually kind of looking forward to this. I'm very curious to see what the story here is and how the rest of the cast comes together, but very curious to know your thoughts. Are you looking forward to a Jetsons movie? Is there any sort of like other forgotten nostalgia bait content, or content's the wrong word, but is there any other nostalgia bait intellectual property that we need to bring back. So I'm going to throw it out here. Let's do, was it the Magic Treehouse? Is that what it was called? Magic Treehouse? It was the Magic Treehouse. Guys, it's time. It's time for the Magic Treehouse movie franchise. We need to bring in the Magic Treehouse. I think we're just separated enough. That's my bet. That's my bet there. Magic Treehouse. Moving on to our next story. Not a lot to say other than we have something to get excited for hopefully soon. But the Daniels, the visionary directors behind Everything Everywhere All at Once, have a release date for their next movie. Their next film will premiere November 19th, 2027. And that is the extent of what we know. What will this film be about? Who is it starring? Am I going to be there day one? Absolutely. Look, the Daniels are incredible. They absolutely hit it out of the park with Everything Everywhere All at Once. They've been doing some work here and there following that. My favorite little surprise, didn't expect to see them there. The Star Wars television show, The Skeleton Crew, they directed on that show. So if you really miss them and kind of want to see their style on the streaming screen, you can check them out there. But in either case, these are very, very talented filmmakers who contributed to one of the best original works that's come out in the last decade. And I will say, Everything Everywhere All at Once, I believe, is responsible for the Marvel Universe's multiverse saga feeling as stale as it did. Because what a shame that in the same year that we had Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we had the best use of the multiverse in a movie ever take place in a completely separate film. So I'm there, I'm seated. We've been talking about this recently, y'all. 2027 is going to be an absolutely stacked year. We have Avengers Secret Wars, we have the Daniels film, we have Man of Tomorrow, the Superman sequel, we have so many other things coming out. We have a Star Wars movie, we have everything, everywhere, all at once. Moving on. Guys, we have our first official look at Woody and Buzz from Toy Story 5. The film is coming to theaters next June, and, well, that's Woody. And that's Buzz. I don't know what the story is here. Well, we do know at the end of Toy Story 4, Woody gives Buzz his Sheriff's badge. This is what he looks like wearing it. This is what he looks like not wearing it. Why are we doing another Toy Story? I don't understand. We had such a beautiful, and I mean beautiful, ending to Toy Story 3. And then I remember when they announced Toy Story 4, I remember there was a report that came out that said, guys, when you see the ending of Toy Story 4, you will understand why this movie had to be made. And I watched Toy Story 4, and look, the animation in that movie, as a fan of animated movies, wow, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous film. Are there some cute moments in it? Yeah, absolutely, but it did not need to be made. But you know what? Let's talk about that ending, right? So the end of Toy Story 4, we have a beautiful send-off for Woody's character that feels like it's actually putting a nice wrapped up bow on his story in a different way than Toy Story 3 did. But you go, you know what? I guess this feels fair for the character. That makes sense. And off he goes. And now we're doing Toy Story 5 and he's coming back? Why is he coming back? The whole point is that he left. What? But I get it, because the last few Pixar movies are Elio, which made no money, and Elemental, which made no money, and all these other things. I'm like, I get it. I get it. I understand you're a business and this is a surefire way to make $1 billion in combined box office revenue and merchandising revenue, but people are still buying Toy Story toys. We don't need another movie. Yes, exactly, chat. Just give us new toys and leave it be. Leave it be. Yeah, you know what? I will expect your essay on how Toy Story 3 is a perfect movie in the YouTube comments, because I agree. I agree. Look, I remember watching that movie in theaters with my family, and like there was not a dry eye. There was not a dry eye. That movie came out. My one of my older siblings was basically the same age as Andy. Where the last movie, Toy Story 2, came out when my sibling was still like young and kind of playing with toys, and then Toy Story 3 came out when they were leaving for college. So like me and my family all sitting together watching that, we the scene when they were the fire, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's hard. It hits hard. So Toy Story 5, look, I'll be curious, but I am certainly not excited. Certainly not excited. We did receive an update on the casting for Euphoria, and we had some surprises in here. Now, to clear up a lot of confusion, including confusion that I had on my end, this is not the only cast. This is in addition to the cast that had already been announced, which included Zendaya and Sydney Sweeney and some other of the returning players. That being said, they did confirm the rest of the cast for Euphoria Season 3, which is filming soon and will be coming out spring of 2026. We do have Nika King returning, Dominic Fike returning, and some more folks there. Paula Marshall's coming back. All of this good news. I think what folks really are surprised about is the new cast, including Eli Roth, Trisha Paytas, Madison Thompson, Natasha Lyonne. What? Yes, that Trisha Paytas. That Trisha Paytas. Oh, sorry, Instagram audience. Let me fix the zoom here. On God, Trisha Paytas is going to be a part of Euphoria Season 3. I have no idea. I really liked Season 1 of Euphoria. I think Season 1 of Euphoria was some of the most interesting depiction of like the raw adult problems that modern day teenagers face. Season 2 of Euphoria kind of low-key felt just inappropriate to watch at times. And everything that happened with the idol and everything that's come out about Sam, what's his name? The Euphoria guy. Sam Levinson. I'm not as enthusiastic as I once was. I also think that everybody on the Euphoria cast seems to have moved on from the show very successfully. And I just can't really wrap my head around what else they have to say. So, you know, the rest of the cast is returning. Zendaya, Hunter Schafer, Eric Dane, Jacob Elordi, Sydney Sweeney, Maud Apatow, etc., Coleman Domingo. But all of these folks have just gone on to do so much more. And it has also been so many years since Season 2 came out that to put all of these people back in high school is just not going to work. So there's going to have to be a time skip. But Season 2 just left us on such a harsh note that there is so much that needs to be concluded in order for us to just kind of accept that the story is going in the right direction. And I just don't know. I think I fear I may have lost faith in this creative team. But I would love to be incorrect here. So I likely will be watching. It will be coming back next spring. So keep an eye out. We'll likely get a trailer close to the end of the year. And hey, Zendaya's going to have a massive year. Zendaya's going to be in Euphoria again. She's going to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day, working on Dune Part 3, which I don't think will release next year, but she's working on it. She's going to be on the Odyssey. Going to have a big year. Maybe a wedding too. Is it too late to start? Watch season 1. Here's my pitch. If you're thinking about watching Euphoria and you're thinking, oh, maybe I watch because of season 3, watch season 1 and then watch. During the pandemic, they had 2 sort of special episodes release. Watch one of those. You can pick either one. They had a Jules episode and a Rue episode. Watch season 1 because I think season 1 is good television. And then watch at least one of those specials. And if you're invested enough in the characters and you want to know more, stay on it. But if that scratches the itch for you, feel free to just fall off there and make up your own ending. I am eternally grateful for my sibling who got me to watch Heroes. Told me, watch season 1 and then never look back. And that's what I did with Heroes. And I, to this day, have not watched a single episode past season 1. And in my mind, I go, man, Heroes was a great show. So I would say Euphoria, watch season 1, and then watch at least one of the COVID specials. And again, pick either one, whichever one you want. Folks, last week, this is our brief Marvel news for the week. Last week, we discussed the update to Vision Quest and how Joe Locke and, I have learned how to pronounce his name, Ruari Malika, were starring together on a show in the West End. And they put out a very funny video here following the announcement that he is going to be playing his brother Billy, Billy and Tommy in the Marvel Universe. So this is great. This is great. I love the self-awareness. I love the comedy about this. Great time. Already love their chemistry. So this is great. And last but not least, we have had another update about Mark Ruffalo and having an individual Hulk film. So, folks, if you don't know, Marvel in the 90s was going bankrupt. And the only way to really finance keeping their company alive was by selling out the film rights to all of their individual characters and franchises. This is why famously Sony Pictures has the right to Spider-Man and all of his characters, and why Marvel Studios couldn't use the X-Men for the first 20 years that Marvel Studios was making films. Universal Studios has the exclusive rights to Hulk in a solo project. So the reason why Hulk can appear in the Avengers and can appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is currently filming, and why he can appear in Thor Ragnarok is because Hulk can be used by Marvel as a character within a movie, but they cannot make a standalone film. So following all of the incredible success that Marvel Studios had with their deal with Sony Pictures regarding the shared partnership with Spider-Man, they went to Universal and said, hey, we just worked out this incredible deal with Sony. Marvel pays for half of the production. Marvel does all the work. And Sony gets most of the profit. And they get to claim credit for the movie. Absolutely stellar deal. Now, what does Universal hear about this offering when they come to them about making a Hulk movie? Nah, they're not interested. So Mark Ruffalo recently did an interview with GQ and talked about, Hulk is a Universal property. I don't know if it'll ever really come to be, speaking on a solo film. We keep talking about it, what it would be. There've been so many Hulk movies already. It's like, does anyone even want another one? but I want one. I think audiences would be into it if we could crack it. So I don't think the issue here is that there's not an individual Hulk story. If y'all can kind of put your minds back before the Marvel Universe, or if you've never been there, let me tell you, let me take you back before the Avengers were, a household name. There was maybe 3 household names in the world of Marvel: Spider-Man, Wolverine, and the Hulk. For some reason, the Hulk was just so successful. The Hulk had an animated series that did really, really well, but it was also the 1970s Hulk series, which was just, oh man, cheesy as all hell if you've never seen anything of it. But the Lou Ferrigno Hulk series got him in the public zeitgeist, and because of that, he was just more recognized, and from that had better brand recognition. And it's just a fun character. He's angry, he's green, he smashes a bunch of shit. Sorry, I'm trying to find a clip from the TV show so that if y'all have never seen, this show is absolutely insane. But this is the reason the Hulk is as popular as it is. It looks absolutely ridiculous. Yes, who didn't have the Hulk hands, man? Honestly, the Hulk hands, absolutely priceless. Yeah, Lou Ferrigno, poor man, would get painted green and smash a bunch of stuff. And he did have some crossovers too. This is Thor showed up in the Incredible Hulk TV show. I believe Daredevil showed up at one point as well. He did. Oh my gosh. And it's the season 1 version of Daredevil. If you've never seen this before. All of that to say, look, I hope we could get an individual Hulk film one day. I think the character has enough source material that we can talk about it. And ultimately, I don't need Hulk hijacking other movies. Captain America Brave New World was a Hulk movie. Thor Ragnarok was a Planet Hulk movie. I need Hulk to have his own movies. We will not be live next week. We are going to be at the SCAD Savannah Film Festival. And folks, we have an absolute packed schedule. So we will likely not be live on Twitch, but we will be putting on a lot of content. So make sure that you're following on Instagram and TikTok and Threads and Blue Sky and all the other ones. We're going to be checking out some incredible movies. You're going to get reviews, day in the lives, all the fun stuff. So make sure you're hanging out. Will we do an IRL stream? Probably not, but there's a small possibility that we will. The schedule is absolutely packed. Oh, look at that. They're doing E.T. because it's a Halloween movie. Schedule is absolutely packed, so make sure that you're sticking around to see it all. But if you're gonna miss seeing me live on Monday, well, hey, just make sure that you are following on Twitch so that you get notified when I go live. Well, folks, thank you so much. That's going to wrap us up today for Movie News Monday. If you want to watch Movie News Monday live, make sure that you are following over on Twitch. You can hang out in the chat and influence the conversation and drop in your own stories. That being said, if you can't join us live, make sure you hit that subscribe button and follow us here on YouTube. Let me know in the chat, what movie news would you like me to talk about? We have so much more content. We do deep dives, we do fun games, so make sure you stick around. And if you ever want to see our content in short form, make sure you're following over on Instagram and TikTok, where I will also let you know when I'm going live. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see y'all movies.